Alright, great. Edition decided to delete my entire audio file, so I guess I'm just doing this again.
Begin transmission.
No, there's always time for fun. It's Friday night. Let's dance.
I can't keep doing this stuff. I just can't keep doing it. I mean, like, no matter what I do, it just seems like... Y'all see that new hot Final Fantasy trailer? Not 16, I'm talking about the real shit. The good stuff. The good. Stranger of Paradise. Final Fantasy Origins. God, what a name that is. I mean, if not for this, I probably would have dried up and died after 30 minutes of looking at Guardians of the Galaxy. By the way, did you know that Square Enix is producing a Guardians of the Galaxy game? It's a new, unique experience where you play a Star Killer, playing in the universe of Guardians of the Galaxy, set in the universe of the Marvel Comics. It's a unique and interesting spin on the genre that hasn't been done before. This video game is the greatest thing you've ever seen since sliced bread, and you will buy it. You will purchase this game. Buy this game. Have you heard about the new video game Guardians of the Galaxy by Square Enix? Buy this video game. Buy the video game. Order now through Verizon to get your special Verizon DLC pack for Star-Lord. You're going to play this game anyway. You might as well get this extra shit. Consume. Anyway, God bless this dad-ass looking lost in the Home Depot searching for drill bits motherfucker. Yeah, as always, E3 kinda sucked aside from the brief spotlights of cool games that the gamers, of course, complained about anyway or could care less about. Then again, whoever says gamers have good taste? I mean, they'll find a way to complain about anything, even Metroid Dread, which, by the way, looks absolutely kick-ass. Anyway, let me, a goth gamer girl, tell you all about this cool little video game I've been playing recently, while you sit there and pay attention, without question, for about 30 minutes, watching me talk about a game that you likely will never play or even purchase.
First layer.
Little Nightmares is an odd little gem in that for a long period of time after its release I heard basically nothing about it. Yet somehow it actually managed to grip quite a lot of people and gain its own little following, it seems. I mean, shit, when I saw this first thing, I kind of fell in love with the tone and the look of it, but I figured it was very much a kind of niche game that appealed to me and, well, not many people. And yeah, it still definitely kind of is, but, you know, it's a little bit more popular and known than I would have thought. I bought this thing day one, baby, and it just sat there for a long time. What was this, 2016? Oh God! Look, I have a long-ass backlog, okay? It took a while to get around to it. It's basically a new game for me, alright? Leave me alone. Anyway, when I booted this thing up, I really had no impressions to go off of because enough time had passed that nobody really ever said anything. I'd never even seen it played past the trailer. And when I started playing this video, Little Nightmares 2 had yet to even be announced, so kind of figured this little gem had been long since forgotten. Boy, am I kinda happy I was wrong. Little Nightmares is a game that takes place in one big nightmare. Ooh, I want my goddamn mustache, clown shoes looking ass, built like a goddamn baked bean. Anyway, because of this unique setting, the nightmare-like quality to the whole world is very interesting to me. You're only ever given the most basic of information, and what does exist is often so vague or deformed due to either perspective or scale that it tends to lead to this very strange kind of lucid dream-like feeling that carries you as a player throughout the whole experience. I mean, everything feels kind of vaguely not realistic. There's people with long limbs that are inhuman, ghost-like abilities in some cases, and honestly what seems to almost be masks in others. Plus, there's this whole overarching theme of all the adults being these terrifying and morphed creatures that are out to hunt you and eat you. It's all in all just kind of a weird nightmare experience that really just carries you throughout the whole experience as a player. It makes you kind of wonder what the hell's going on and why exactly it's all like this. Of course, you never really get an answer either.
Second layer.
If I had to describe the sensation of the story, it'd be somewhere between limbo and inside, and a nightmare-induced coma caused by drinking one too many cups of NyQuil, something I know all too well. It uses these vague storytelling elements to leave most of its themes open to interpretation as to their deeper gamer meaning, or the world in which they exist, which is never exactly explained or even justified. All you know is that you're kind of on a ship, or at least you think it's a ship. You hear these creaking elements and waves, and you sway side to side all the time, so it kind of just makes you feel like you're in a ship, but to be honest, up until later in the game, you never officially see this. It's so distorted that it's kind of hard to tell at times. As far as I know, or at least what I choose to interpret, is that the world of Little Nightmares isn't even so much of a grounded world at all, and it's more of a collective nightmare in which multiple characters exist and see each other in, though we never find out the who, the why, the whats, or the wheres, which I think helps add this uneasy feeling throughout the whole game, as you never know what might come next, or the particular rules of the universe, or even the way things function in this society. It creates this cool feeling where you're kind of an outsider, and nothing's ever explained because there's not any dialogue in this game, but you kind of pick up on things, see how things start to function. You pick up on the fact that these people are for some reason holding these kids hostage, keeping them in these little nursery rooms. You also pick up on the fact that for some reason other people just straight up want to eat these kids, with the cooks in particular looking to cook you up for these big fat guests you later encounter. But you're never told why exactly. You only get this vague feeling, which I think absolutely kicks ass. The gameplay of this game pulls heavily from other side-scrolling story-focused experiences in line with something like Limbo, Inside, Oddworld, and other similar side-scrolling puzzling adventure-like games. Though, much like Limbo and Inside, it shares a lack of any real dialogue or storytelling beyond the environmental and is often left open to interpretation, as I mentioned before. However, this is actually like good interpretation instead of something like Dark Souls, where it's kinda just made up bullshit that doesn't actually apply or mean anything. I can't wait to have the angry gamers in my comments on that, but I'm gonna stick to it, because fuck you, I can. In terms of how it actually plays, though, it's an incredibly smooth experience and honestly quite impressive, as it often blends gameplay into these intuitively designed controls which end up working a lot of the time. As you probably noticed, there's no real UI or anything. No health bar, no gauges, nothing that you can see which isn't displayed physically somewhere in the world. Which I always love in a game, when there's exactly zero HUD or outside elements and everything's kind of just intuitive. The only time things show up on screen is if you miss a prompt multiple times, or if you're stuck in a puzzle room and it's trying to give you some advice, which happened to me a lot, because again, I'm dumb as goddamn bricks. It's kind of amazing how much they can do with so little as well. I mean, the only real gameplay controls are picking up objects, throwing them, moving around, crouching, climbing, and using a lighter in darker spaces to navigate the game. Meaning, this game manages to do a lot with so very little in terms of gameplay systems. I mean, there's not really any combat or anything like that. Well, actually, oddly enough there is for one time, but it's actually a boss fight that sort of works out. You move swiftly between exploring this massive ship to escaping horrifying long-limbed monsters, or stealth sections, or escaping from these hordes of people that just want to eat you, to these quiet moments as you traverse areas of almost pitch blackness with such a smooth pace that it makes for a really wonderful sit-down experience to play through in a nice weekend. I guess that's kinda why I like it so much. Despite some downright terrifying moments and horror elements, it still manages to feel very chill as an experience. Taking time to just give you moments like these, where you hear the quiet creak of the ship as you stand in the darkness, completely isolated and alone in the belly of a metal beast. Speaking of, can I take a second to say how goddamn beautiful this game is? I mean, like, goddamn, man, the exaggerated features of the monsters, the downright gorgeous set design, the attention to detail in these backgrounds that all feel warped and in this nightmarish-like world, and this oppressing and unending darkness that follows you everywhere in the game, all make this world click perfectly for me. It's like a perfect little soup of everything I love. All the fantastic horror design that you could ever want in one little pot with an easy, digestible way to play. Mamma mia, that's a good spook right there. But for real, there's amazing set and sound design in this game that's really helpful for making it work. Normally, I like to play games while listening to other stuff, podcasts or YouTube videos, content my friends make, like a 2-hour video of Battling Wonderworld, for instance. But this? Nah, homie, I devoted all my energy and attention to this sucker while playing it, which, let me be honest, is a real goddamn thing to do to somebody who has as many brainworms as I do. But like, just listen to some of these moments. The use of lighting, the isolation, the creak of the ships, the entire map constantly swaying side to side. It never lets you forget that you're in the belly of a massive vessel. It's a type of feeling you rarely get, where the cracks of metal and odd noises all make your hair stand up on edge, especially when your light goes out and there's something else in the room with you. In the end, it creates an experience that I think is hella worth it. It's fantastic, it's nice, it's enjoyable, and easily digestible. Quite easy to just pick up and play for a weekend before beating and putting down. Even as somebody who's not into horror very much, I could see this game being honestly quite easy to deal with. It's got scary elements, but more than anything, the thing that it does that impresses me is do these interesting little twists or story elements or moments where it kind of makes you jump out of your seat when it does something you don't expect. For a little tiny platformer game like this that's only about a few hours long, I mean, all in all it was about 10 hours with the DLC, it makes for a really good experience. All the puzzles are unique, all the monsters are unique, all the areas stand out. It's all stuff that is super memorable. I mean, on par with other massive horror games in the genre. The things that it does stand out in such a short amount of time, each one lasting about an hour or two depending on the section. It manages to do so much right and stick with you in a way that not a lot of other games manage. Basically, what I'm trying to say is gameplay good, story good, look good. I mean, just, my god, I want to make out with this game and whatever dude over at Namco Bandai made it. Whoever you are, Little Nightmares dude, I hope you're doing good and God bless you for making this little neat game. As I mentioned earlier, I was surprised to find out this game actually has a rather vibrant fan base, to be totally honest. I mean, when I started, I figured it'd be something people remembered from the trailers, sure, but not something that would ever really get a sequel, but I mean, here we are in 2021, huh? Anything happens at this point, alright? It's a goddamn mad world out there, lads. Anyway, I was surprised to find out that not only did this game get a sequel, but it also has DLC and comics, which hey man, I probably won't take the time to read those comics, but I mean, maybe one day I'd be interested to see what the heck they're like, seeing as the main game itself is devoid of any plot aside from whatever you interpret in the actions that do take place. However, the DLC that I mentioned, of course, actually adds a substantial amount of extra content and little goodies in addition to new puzzles, sections, and monsters to either run from or conquer. It's not exactly like a whole new game or anything, but there are some slight changes, like the new character having a flashlight instead of Six's much shittier lighter, which allows for far greater vision. It even ends up being used for gameplay later on in the chapters, which I think is just swell. With that and the new areas and everything else you do in this whole DLC, it's more than justifiable in my books to either buy it at the price of $10, which is what I got it for, or just buy the full experience itself, which is not much higher of a price. I think it's around $20 for the whole bundle, the whole game, and all the DLC in one. The only thing I'd say going in is to keep an open mind to it and don't expect things to be explained to you exactly. It's just not one of those types of games. I mean, even if it did have a story where I could summarize it, it wouldn't really do much, but the best I could come up with is that it's about perpetuating a cycle of violence that indeed do be making us all monsters in our own little ways. Then again, that's just one way of examining the story, and I'm not even sure how much I'd stick with it on further examination. Again, I have to remark, I'm a dumbass who thinks Shadow the Hedgehog is a good video game, so you should not trust me about my story examinations. Point being, though, it's good and well worth the experience of spending an afternoon to play it. It's got all the same good vibes that a small game like Resident Evil 3 Remake has, where you can just pick it up and beat it in a weekend, no problem, and get an enjoyable experience out of it. However, is it as super replayable, and is it going to be something you often revisit like Resident Evil 3? I don't know, to be honest. I can't really see myself replaying it a ton. I can say I'm happy with the experience I got and all, but there's nothing about it that really incentivizes going back or different playthroughs, not even really special costumes or anything aside from the ones you get in DLC, which are fine, but again, this is kind of a one and done type experience. That plus the DLC is honestly more than enough to be fine. At the end of the day, though, I'm pretty happy with the experience I got. The story really made me happy for what was there, and most of all, the puzzles, the monsters, and the world it takes place in all really stood out to the point where I don't really want to show everything here just in case you do want to pick it up. Of all the games I've reviewed, I mean, I honestly think this one's one of the ones I gotta recommend the most for the modern audience. A lot of the stuff I play is janky or near unplayable or honestly complete trash, but this one's different. I'm happy I got to experience it at all, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. And I really hope you pick it up too, because God is it worth it. Can't wait to play the new one. I don't know if I'll do much of a review of it, seeing as they're, well, I mean, basically the same game. I really doubt anything's gonna change here much, but who knows, I'll make something small about it, possibly.
Final labor.
Anyway, there, I did a slightly shorter review that's not 30 or 40 minutes long. God, thank me later, huh? Cowards. Anyway, go watch my friend Armutus video about Balan Wonderworld. He spent way too much time on it than any human being ever should have. Do you know there was a goddamn book for this game? Oh, I also voiced a bird girl for Sona Haver in it, so that was cool, I guess. Love you, buddy. I've been working on a much bigger video project about a film series as a change of pace, as well as working on my next game review here shortly for Alan Wake and a yet disclosed game that I will probably honestly get to first, but who knows, it can be a little bit of a toss-up sometimes about getting things done. All I gotta do is finish capturing footage and we're Gucci. Other than that, I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for all the support you've shown me, and I want to remind everyone that I have a Discord you can join if you want to say hi. I'm going to probably start doing movie nights here every so often, as well as stream the games that I am playing to capture footage, just so people can come and talk to me and do whatever dumb shit you want to do. I'm always happy to have people come chat and ask questions and do whatever. For now, this is open up to the public, but eventually it is going to be a Patreon exclusive, so get in early, alright guys? Speaking of Patreons, though, I also want to give a shout out to everybody who's given me money. Thank you all so much for pretty much everything you've done. You guys are goddamn saviors at this point, and I don't really know how I'd be here without you, so I'm going to go ahead and list out all of you here, as well as publicly announce that Apollo is a unique Chi that gave me more money than most, so thank God, Apollo, it's because of you that I get to go eat some more Taco Bell after this, or you know what, maybe I'll treat myself to a nice bagel. Anyway, Please subscribe to my Patreon if you feel like giving me some money. I need to use it more and update it more often, but eventually the plan there is to do polls for games, Q&A questions, updates, and Patreon exclusive content, which I've been lacking on for now, but I do want to put out there more. And again, like I've stated before, thank you, honestly. Everybody who's watched my videos, who's paid attention, who's given me advice, or told me that they like my stuff, it means a lot. The world is a tough place out there, alright? You never know what's lurking in the shadows, what could be watching you, what kind of organizations could just be chilling and... For now, I gotta take my normal pills and fall into another drunken coma. I got 2 cans of Four Loko and no will to live, so this should be a blast of a night. See you next time, gamers, and stay safe out there.
The gate is now closed. End transmission.